So the new feature, the converter, the design branching and merging, the revision table integration, standard only, pro only. I just included those here, and you have the enhancement and the compatibility changes, system requirement, 3D interconnect, that kind of stuff. Like I said, I put the standard only, the pro only, so the rest are for both standard and pro. I talked a little bit about the PDF converter. I'm just going to repeat that it's for 2D PDF, the single sheet. All the sheets are going on one PDF, and it's executed on the user that triggered the task. So I was just going to go on the admin tool and take a look at that new feature. So I have a little PDM standard vault here. And in order to get that convert tool inside your admin tool, you basically have to import it from the default data. So my default data is on the C drive, program files, and this is basically a standard location. If you installed somewhere else, you'll basically have to maybe on your D drive or usually program file and that kind of SOLIDWORKS PDM default data. Inside of default data, if you go to the bottom of it, you'll have this convert gb.cx. That's what you need to import in order to get this little convert inside of your task here. And that convert is what is going to allow you to set up everything inside of that convert tool. So you can run it as admin. You can enable some computer to run the task. So in order to do that, you use on the client machine that task host configuration here. And then you can, on a certain vault, you just basically enable that that little check mark here that the add-in to run, and then you can check the computer for running the task. When it comes to conversion setting, I was explaining that compared to Pro, you don't have any options here. You only have the 2D PDF for convert, and the sheet is all sheets going in one output. You still have the option here to do latest or as built, and the output you can also put it inside, outside the vault. If it's inside the vault, it will create a reference, so the where used contains will show where will have a link with the original file. Success, error notification, and that's basically setting up your tool. Once this tool is set up, what you can do is put in your workflow. So at any point in your workflow in a transition, I can select an action. Whenever my file goes to approve, I want include that convert task, so I can add the action and execute a task, and I have this convert task, and it's running only for SOLIDWORKS drawings, so it's not going to convert everything that goes through those transitions. And put my task in there, save my workflow, and that's basically set up. You have a convert PDF tool for PDM standard. All right. Next new feature, branch and merge. So I was pretty excited when I started talking about branch and merge. So it's a really good improved process for handling, different different approaches to projects. So basically, instead of replacing parts, or instead of playing with version, you can now branch. So you can branch on a subassembly, on a whole structure, but basically you can work on a whole design separately. So by working separately on something, you see the little image here. Well, I can copy, or I can branch my subassembly or assembly, work on it, and say, okay, this design's not going to work, this one is going to work, and then put it back and merge it to the original. So you have your main design flow that's basically evolving. And when you want to explore a different design approach, or you might want to also do an engineering change proposal. So you're changing something, but you don't want to incorporate it right away in that main branch, basically. You do those alternate those branches, you work on them, some other people can work on them, and then when there's a decision made on what's going to be used, you can merge it to the actual project. So again, it works. You can work on multiple project versions at once, and it keeps a relationship to the original project. What does it mean when we look at it? So let's go in our folder, and I already created a couple of branches. I have this burner assembly here that is being used in my gas grill assembly, basically. I created some branches, so this V2 and V3 are branches. So if I look at my burner assembly here, I have this new thing in my right click called associated branches. So it tells me, you see, those are the two other branch, the burner panel alternate design, the engineering change. If I look at those two here and look at the preview, you'll see they're a little bit different. There's this one that's got some marking and it's gray. There's this one that is green. So the green one was my engineering change. This one is my alternate design. And if I look at the burner assembly, here is the green one. And the reason why is if I look at the history, I merged, and I did a bunch of testing on merging and branching, and you can see that the engineering change, the last one I merged to my to my main subassembly or my main project. So everything's mapped in the history, everything from the user, and it also gives you in comments where it's merged from all the time automatically. So to do a branch, you select your assembly, you go in Tool, and there's this branch feature here. The interface looks a lot like copy tree. So basically, you have to give a name to your branch. So webinar branch, for example. And then I have also the transform operation, just like copy tree. So I can do a underscore V10, for example, and I will change the name. I can browse and put it in a different folder or in the same folder, and that's totally fine. And then when I branch, it will create that branch and create those files as well. So now on that burner assembly panel, I have different branches. I have that webinar branch now that I can, so now I can work on that webinar branch at any point, basically. I have this knob burner V10, it's been created. I have this panel V10, and I have also my burner panel assembly V10. So those are just different branches that are tied to my main one. So if you look at this one here, that is my version 2, which is the alternate. If I go on my burner panel assembly and I make I'm just gonna select it and merge. There's different ways to merge. You can merge this way. You can go on that assembly and select it, go in Tool, and also use the merge. There's very different ways to do it, but basically it all leads to the same place. If I select my branch and I decide this one is going to be the current and I want to merge it, I'll merge this one, and now my burner assembly is this one. It keeps its reference to the to its upper level. And if you look at the other branches, they don't have any upper level. They're basically freestanding branches designed that can work, cannot work. And whenever it's merged to the your main branch, it just becomes, your main branch becomes that alternate. So it doesn't change the name, it doesn't change anything. It's just basically allows you to work simultaneously on versions, on projects, on different ideas, and then whenever this is accepted or it's ready for being integrated, you can put it back in the main branch as easy as the merge that I just did. So that's for the new and the new. Oh, we're going to go back to presentation. So that's for the new branch and merge feature. Again, I can repeat those. Multiple design approach, very good for engineering changes, and then it will keep relation to the original project, which is very important. All right, the third new feature is the revision table integration. So some of you guys might have integrated that already in your PDM Pro. So the old way to do it, there was a workaround basically. So without the integration, you had to create every variable, every PDM variable for every revision for your revision table. So you had to have Rev 1, Rev 2, Rev 3. And then if you had description or you had other things on your Rev table, you had to have 1, 2, 3. And then you would put those in your workflow and then start rolling them basically. So you would have Rev 3, when there's a new revision, you would have Rev 3 that takes the place of Rev 2, Rev 2 take the place of Rev 1, and then the new Rev goes on top. And if you have big revision table with a lot of information, this is for an administrator, it's a bit of a nightmare, and to change those things, it's also a bit of a nightmare. So so what SOLIDWORKS did is they did an integration now for the revision table. It's now dynamic, so this workaround, you had to set it for 3, and then it will always stay like this, even if you have one revision. With this integration now, it will grow to the point where you want it. So if we take a look in our vault, the way to enable the revision table is through this little tab here called SOLIDWORKS. You had this one before, it include toolbox. Now it will have also revision table in here. If you go on revision table, this is where you enable it. So enable the revision table, decide how many rows you want to have for that revision table. So you can do as many rows as you want. And then there's this little placeholder here. So when you're in the drawing, and you have a revision table, you can do manually a new revision, and it's basically, you know, creating a new column, a new row, and then you can put the information. This will put a placeholder where the revision is, and then whenever it's incremented through the workflow or with a set revision, it will actually replace that placeholder. So that's what this is here. So I mentioned you can use the set revision. For those of you who are not familiar with the set revision, you can basically, I'm just going to go in a different project here, on a file that is approved, for example, where I have my revision scheme already established, I can go and modify and use that set revision. It's pretty useful when you have legacy data and you want to just, you know, select what's the revision that it's at and when it's coming in the vault. So this revision table integration will work with the set revision command, and then if you use it, then you can update different fields of your revision table. You can have dynamic data to input. So this is all where you can set those up for the revision table. So again, you don't have to, and that's the great advantage, you don't have to create multiple variables. Now you don't have to have revision 1, revision 2, revision 3. All you have to do is you have one variable, and if I go on revision, all you need to include is the new block name called SW Table, and that's the block name that will basically enable that integration with the revision table for your drawing. So SW Table is the new attribute that you add to your PDM variable that enables this integration. I also want to that's a bit of a marketing, or just I want to direct you guys on our website, because there's so much information on our website that we do videos for. We have blogs, and every time those new feature comes around, we have information on how to set it up correctly, and tons of information on the behavior. So if you miss some webinar Wednesday and you want to catch up, they're all posted here. So don't hesitate to go have a deeper look into those new features, revision table, and other features that we have posted here. It's always they go a bit more in depth than just the big overview that I'm giving you today. All right. So that's for the new feature for 2018, those 3 big ones. We're going to jump into the enhancement in the administration tool. Couple of little things. One, actually, the data card editor undo is a long due feature or enhancement. It's going to make a lot of people happy. Those of you guys that have made your data cards, that have played with the data card editor, you'll understand the value of a simple undo. But I'll show it in a moment. But there's also another undo, the checkout rights, the folder permission, copy true variable settings. I'm just gonna go in my admin tool and show all of that right now. All right, so let's start with the one I'm most excited about, the undo. So again, if you guys have done your data card, you might have done something like that. You select a bunch of stuff, you want to align them all left, and for some reason they all collapse. You selected the wrong one, and then all you want to do is just, okay, I'm just going to Control Z and undo, and you can't. Then that was in 2017, and now there's an undo, so you can just undo it, so you don't have to save all the time, and if you mess up, you close it and don't save and reopen it. There's an undo button. If you delete something, you're not happy, Control Z, and then it comes back. So great little feature. It's such a small thing, but it's gonna make our admin's life way easier. So that's for the first enhancement, that undo. Like I said, there's another undo, and that's in the permissions. There's in the group or the user permissions, so pretty much the same thing. Let's just go for the group. There's a new admin permission called can undo checkout file checked out by other users. So that was previously reserved for the admin, and now it's open for everybody. So as a user, it's open for everybody that's got the permission. So if you give this permission to one of your users, just be careful, because it can affect the work of other people. So it's definitely an administrative permission, but basically from the user computer, you can undo the checkout on another user on another computer. So that would discard the changes and revert to the version that is in the vault. It's a bit it's if the person is on vacation, if you really need the file, that's something you can do. The other thing you can do is you can go on that person computer and undo the checkout, or check in the file from that computer, and that's also allowed. So if you have other different user on the same computer, and you can log with a different user, if you have access to the local computer, then you can check in or undo the checkout from that computer, and either check in the changes or discard them. But that's basically something that's not reserved for the admin user, which was in the past. Okay, folder permission, little tweak here. There's 2 tabs here, the permission per folder and the assign folder permission. So on the permission per folder, it's pretty straightforward. You just need different folder and you can have different permission in check. On the other tab, the assign folder permission, it basically shows you the folder where the permissions are different. The only thing they change is if I control select some of them, it will basically tell me which one are common and which one are only for one folder. So there's a bit of a change here. I can multi-select and I can multi-select for those folders from that assign folder permission. It's visually really clean to just see what's common to those folders. Otherwise, you still have to go through them and kind of take a look. So it makes for easier administration of that. Okay, and then the last one is the copy tree setting. So on the settings here, you have, well, let's just differentiate the two. You have a copy tree here, and that's basically to exclude folder from copy tree. You also have in settings of user or group, you have this little tab here called copy tree. And it basically allows you to update variables when you use copy tree. It's pretty useful. In the past, we've been using it for clearing, let's say, the revision or inputting some values that were fixed. But this year they changed it, and basically you can do dynamic values. So I'll give you a little example. If I put the variable comment, and then I want to take a value, I can still put a static value, but I can now take a dynamic value. So if I want to put today's date in comments, I can do that. So if I go in one of my folder and decide that I'm going to take this knob, look at the data card, there's no comment. I'm going to take this knob and copy tree. Let's make sure I save that. Okay, yeah, that's good. So if I copy it, let's just add something, put it in the same folder, or maybe I'll change the folder. It's going to be easier to find. And copy. So now on my comments, I basically have the date. So I can now on the copy tree use dynamic value, which is pretty handy because if you want to know who did what, basically, or not who did what. If you want to know which user, for example, did the copy tree, you could have a variable map to the user that did that, or you can map dates, and you can map different information relative to when structure was copied, and that's pretty handy. And it's not used anymore just for clearing data or just static data, so it's pretty useful. Okay. Let's go back to our little presentation. That was for the admin tool. There's also a couple of things that change in the Windows Explorer. I took some screen grab of sorry, I took some screen grab of what it looked like before. So the search tool before this enhancement didn't have anything in the embedded here for exporting to a Excel sheet or saving it. So that's what they changed. You can now open an Excel, save a CSV file of your searches in the embedded search. Before that, you had to go in the standalone tool, so you had to toggle and fire up the tool in its own window. Now it's in the embedded tool. There's also detailed warnings. So on the transition, the workflow, there's some, if the conditions are not met, before that you had this little warning here, condition for transition are not met, and didn't give you much more information than that. So now that's changed. And also on the rollback, last year they implemented something where when you roll back, a parent file, well, it includes a reference, but they also realize sometimes you don't want to do that. So now they give you the choice. So I'll go and show you those little changes. The first one, the search is pretty straightforward. You can see those two icons here have been added. So if I run a search on my specification, I'll find a couple of results. Maybe I'll just toggle and find a bit more. And then now I can just one click, just like in your bill of material, and then I have a Excel sheet populated. Pretty handy. The other thing that that you can do is to save the search. So same thing. So CSV file. You can choose a location where you're saving that. So you can either fire it up in Excel quickly or save it. So that's the enhancement here. The other thing is the detail warning. In my workflow here, not that one, the one for this guy, I just created a little transition where I've put basically a condition on this. Okay, so I've put a condition on my workflow saying that it needs to say webinar Wednesday or something like that. So I'll just go back to my workflow quickly. And if I look at the conditions here, I have this my variable comment needs to be populated with webinar Wednesday. Now, if I go to one of my approved file, which I should have some in this project, and test it out, you can see that if I test this new detail warning, instead of telling me condition not met, now I have the detail warning saying the comment should contain webinar Wednesday. So now it's easier for me to go on an approved file, check it out, and put in the comments webinar Wednesday. Save that, check it in, and then the next time I want to put it to the test, you'll see that I don't have this warning anymore. So it gives a bit more information for the user to, if there's something that is required when sending to the workflow. It's kind of nice. And the last one is the rollback. I have 4 versions on this one. I can always go in my history. If you have the permission for the rollback, it will appear here. And now this time when I hit the rollback, it basically asks me if the file selected for rollback, if you want to adjust that file or you want the file with its reference. So you can now do that, and this one doesn't have any reference. So what a bad example. There you go. There we go. So you can have the choice between this and the other rollback. That would be only the file that is selected. So that's nice that it gives you the choice and it's not something that it's set in stone. Yeah, so that's for the enhancement part of it. Then let's move on to the compatibility changes. Unfortunately, in 2018, SOLIDWORKS PDM, SOLIDWORKS, everything, it won't support Windows Server 2008 R2 as well as SQL 2008 R2. So if you guys are on on that platform, on those platforms, or on SQL or Windows Server, when it comes the time to upgrade to 2018, you'll have to go to at least 2012 or up to Windows Server 2016 that is now supported, and SQL 2017 that is also supported in 2018. Couple of other things. You guys might have heard of 3D Interconnect. If you haven't, I can just do a little overview. This is basically SOLIDWORKS accepts let's say other format inside their assembly. So instead of using convert or feature recognition and redo everything in a SOLIDWORKS part, you can now use native PTC, NX, CATIA files and put them in an assembly. So if you have suppliers, vendors, partners that are giving you other files, you don't have to convert them. You can use them in their original, or if you're using a different software as well, you can use them in their original format. And now with PDM, it also supports this format for the referencing. So you have a little list here of format that are supported in PDM. Autodesk Inventor, CATIA V5, PCT, Siemens Solid Edge. So all those through 3D Interconnect will be able to make their way in the vault and be checked in, and all the reference will be recognized and good. So that's a good thing for the compatibility here. And also for you guys that are using inspection, there's now an integration between SOLIDWORKS inspection and PDM. So the information that you put inside of inspection integrated into a data card and make their way to PDM. So that's a great integration inside the SOLIDWORKS family. And last of our compatibility changes is a Creo direct integration. So Creo Elements now allows operation within. So you can see that this is a screen grab of what it looks like inside of Creo with the check-in, check-out, the show card, all the functions here. It will do custom property, tile block, parent-child reference, all that good stuff that is already available with Autodesk and other competitor integration. So now we have also an integration for Creo Elements, and that's it for the compatibility changes. That was a quick one. Here's your new feature for SOLIDWORKS 2018. If you want more information on that, know that if you have PDM installed, you can always find the What's New PDF that is under SOLIDWORKS PDM, and then it's in Lang for language, GB, and then you have this What's New Enterprise that will give you a bit of a wrap up on what we covered today. And also this webinar will be available on our website, as well as the feature we talked, where you can have a bit more information. And yeah, enjoy those 2018 feature. For those of you who have questions, just use the chat, ask questions, I'll answer some of that. Otherwise, have a great day.